The Nanny continues to be so successful worldwide.
Fran Dresser, born Francine Joy Dresser on September 30, 1957, in Flushing, Queens, came from humble beginnings. Her parents, Sylvia and Morty, worked steady but simple jobs, Sylvia helping brides pick the perfect dress, and Morty analyzing naval systems. Money was limited, but the home was full of laughter, stories, and life lessons. Their Romanian and Polish roots added warmth and tradition, shaping the way Fran approached holidays, family, and life itself. Growing up in Queens was like being in a cultural kaleidoscope. Accents and personalities collided, voices overlapped, and life moved fast. From this chaos, Fran's nasal, sharp voice emerged, the same voice that decades later would make her a household name. Even as a child, she loved performing, mimicking TV stars in her living room, orchestrating tiny neighborhood shows, and turning school hallways into impromptu stages. Teachers noticed her spark early. Bold, funny, and confident, Fran could silence a noisy classroom without raising her voice. Lunchtimes often became mini theaters, where she wrote and performed scenes that friends would remember for years. These early moments gave her a sense of purpose, and understanding that laughter and storytelling could make people truly see her. By her teenage years, Fran's life in Queens was already a rehearsal for the stage of the world. At 16, she entered the Miss New York Teenager pageant, finishing first runner-up. Standing on that stage, smiling through nerves, she learned a vital lesson: performance under pressure matters, and so does resilience in the face of rejection. Losing the crown stung, but it sharpened her determination to pursue her dreams. School shaped her as much as family. Fran moved to Hillcrest High School in 1971, a melting pot of students from over 40 countries. She fit right in, joining the drama club, running for class president, and winning by a landslide in 1973. Teachers admired her energy and charisma, classmates couldn't forget her presence. Among those walking the same halls was Ray Romano, though their paths would only cross professionally years later. It was in drama class in 1972 that Fran met Peter Mark Jacobson, a connection that would define her personal and professional life. Their laughter over an improv exercise turned into hours of planning future scenes in the school library. Quietly, they began building a bond that would last decades, one founded on humor, ambition, and shared dreams of Hollywood. High school victories didn't erase the world's challenges. In 1974, a talent show became a source of doubt rather than triumph. After performing a Broadway number, a drama teacher dismissed her voice as harsh and unprofessional. The criticism stung, and Fran avoided singing for months. Yet, that very voice would later become the signature of Fran Fine, the character that launched her into superstardom. After high school, Fran attended Queens College briefly, only to find acting classes perpetually full. She pivoted to cosmetology, cutting hair for $12 a session while saving to chase the dream of Hollywood. By 1976, she had enough to move to Los Angeles, where she and Peter started with $200 in sheer hope, sleeping on couches and working multiple jobs to survive. These years of struggle shaped Fran's tenacity, teaching her how to survive disappointment and rejection, a lesson that would serve her decades later. Her first on-screen break came in 1977 with a minor role in Saturday Night Fever. Her improvised line about John Travolta's dance skills captured attention, even if her paycheck was only $100. The experience was a glimpse of possibility, a reminder that boldness and authenticity could open doors, even when the world seemed indifferent. The late 70s and early 80s were a crucible. Fran appeared in American Hot Wax in 1978, but Hollywood insisted on typecasting her as the loud girl from Queens. Money was tight, auditions were brutal. She faced over 200 rejections, endured snide remarks about her accent, and was dismissed from roles without a second thought. Her first television break came in 1985, with a role on Princesses. But the show collapsed after only 4 episodes, leaving Fran questioning her place in the industry. In 1984, she also appeared in This Is Spinal Tap, improvising a high-pitched fan scream that stole the scene, but offered no lasting career momentum. Survival meant taking whatever work came her way, including phone sex work, just to pay the rent. These were years of loneliness, stress, and invisibility, yet they forged a resilience that would define her later career. Life in the 1980s was not only professionally challenging, it was dangerously personal. In 1985, Fran was violently attacked in her Los Angeles home. The assault left her physically and emotionally scarred. PTSD followed, and for years she navigated nightmares, flashbacks, and mistrust, even as she continued to audition and work. Therapy helped, slowly, and eventual legal action against one of her attackers in 1996 offered a measure of closure. This period of trauma deeply influenced Fran's worldview. She realized how fragile safety can be and how crucial personal agency is. These lessons would later inform both her characters and her work as a Hollywood activist, advocating for stronger protections and fair treatment for performers. By the early 90s, Fran and Peter were creating sitcom ideas based on her life, yet executives repeatedly dismissed them as too ethnic or too niche. It wasn't until 1991, on a flight home from a family wedding, that fate intervened. Fran pitched a story to Jeff Sagansky, CBS president, about a loud, quirky girl from Queens working for a wealthy British family. Her authenticity was magnetic, and CBS greenlit the pilot within months. The Nanny premiered on November 3, 1993, to 15 million viewers. Fran's entrance scene, delivered live to convince skeptical executives, became legendary. Her voice, timing, and personality made Fran Fine a cultural icon, while her insistence on a co-executive producer credit ensured creative and financial control. The first season was made on a shoestring budget of $1 million, yet authenticity triumphed over money. The chemistry between Fran and Charles Shaughnessy, cast as Maxwell Sheffield, carried the show. Fran's leadership behind the scenes, firing writers for sexist jokes, funding therapy sessions, and creating a respectful environment, set new standards for female producers and actors. By the second season, The Nanny was in the top 20 shows on American TV, earning Fran Emmy nominations in 1994 and 1995. But long hours, vocal strain, and personal tensions took a toll. She battled exhaustion, marital strain, and constant pressure to maintain the show's energy. Despite these challenges, Fran remained a pioneer. She stepped into directing, enforced respectful set culture, and advocated for the well-being of cast and crew. Her insistence on leadership and respect in a male-dominated industry laid groundwork for future female showrunners and producers. In 2000, Fran discovered she had stage 1 uterine cancer after years of misdiagnosis. At 42, she faced a hysterectomy and early menopause. This experience, combined with past trauma, reshaped her understanding of advocacy and personal voice. In 2001, she published Cancer Schmancer, blending humor and honesty to warn women of the dangers of misdiagnosis and inspire them to demand thorough medical care. Her advocacy extended beyond personal narrative. Fran helped launch mobile screening clinics, educated lawmakers, and testified before Congress. Her work contributed to the Gynecologic Cancer Education and Awareness Act, improving early detection and patient education across underserved communities. Even after The Nanny, Fran continued to reinvent herself. Roles in Law and Order, SVU, Hotel Transylvania, and Indebted showcased her range, while directing short films like My Big Gay Italian Wedding emphasized empowerment and self-acceptance. Her podcast reached younger audiences, tackling trauma, health, and reinvention with honesty. By 2021, Fran's voice had grown louder than ever. She won SAG-AFTRA presidency with 81.4% of the vote, and in 2023, led Hollywood through the longest strike in SAG history, negotiating protections worth over $1 billion. Her leadership expanded to global advocacy, traveling as a State Department envoy, inspiring millions to fight for better healthcare and safer workplaces. Fran Dresser's story is one of persistence, authenticity, and transformation. From Queens to Hollywood, from trauma to empowerment, she turned struggle into strength. She proved that voice matters, not just on screen, but in society. Her influence extends beyond television, through advocacy, activism, mentorship, and cultural impact. Fran Fine might have made audiences laugh, but Fran Dresser changed the rules of the game entirely. Her life is a blueprint for resilience: embrace authenticity, turn pain into purpose, and never let the world silence your voice. After The Nanny ended in 1999, many assumed Fran Dresser would fade into obscurity. But she refused to settle. While the world saw Fran Fine, she was quietly reshaping her career. She focused on voice acting, landing roles in animated hits like Hotel Transylvania, which introduced her to a younger, global audience. Her role as Anyunas, Dracula's wife, was sharp, witty, and completely distinct from her live-action persona. By 2018, the franchise had grossed over $1.2 billion worldwide, proving her talent could thrive across mediums. Voice acting allowed her to experiment creatively while maintaining privacy, a balance that many Hollywood stars struggle to find. Fran didn't just act, she directed and created content that reflected her values. Shows like Happily Divorced Together in 2011, co-created with Peter Mark Jacobson, explored modern relationships with honesty and humor, drawing from their personal story. In 2014 to 2015, she starred in Indebted on NBC. Though the show lasted only one season, Fran used the experience as a learning platform, moving seamlessly into directing short films. Her 2017 film, My Big Gay Italian Wedding, became a festival favorite, highlighting themes of empowerment, acceptance, and family, and reinforcing her commitment to stories that mattered. Fran's career success mirrored her activism. Having faced misdiagnosis, trauma, and medical neglect, she founded the Cancer Schmancer movement in 2007. She launched mobile screening clinics, Fran Vans, to reach low-income neighborhoods, ensuring early detection for thousands of women. By 2025, the movement had raised over $10 million, directly funding thousands of screenings. Beyond funding, Fran used her platform to educate lawmakers, testify before Congress, and champion patient rights. Her advocacy made her a powerful voice for women's health, proving that fame could be used to change public systems, not just entertain audiences. Fran's influence extended beyond health activism. In September 2021, she became president of SAG-AFTRA, winning 81.4% of the vote. Her leadership came at a crucial time, as Hollywood faced the rise of AI, streaming exploitation, and inequitable pay. In 2023, she led the longest strike in SAG-AFTRA history, lasting 118 days. Negotiations secured over $1 billion in protections, safeguarding actors' pay for streaming projects and protecting against AI replication of performances. Under her guidance, background actors, voice performers, and stunt artists received long-awaited recognition and rights, transforming Hollywood labor standards for generations. Fran's voice was not limited to sets or union meetings. In 2019, she stood before Congress to discuss 8 missed cancer diagnoses and the dangers women face when symptoms are ignored. Her testimony was emotional, honest, and commanding, leading to bipartisan support for improved healthcare legislation. By 2025, Fran had traveled internationally as a U.S. State Department envoy for women's health, meeting leaders, health organizations, and communities across Europe and beyond. She combined her personal story with policy insight, inspiring millions to demand early detection, accurate diagnosis, and better care. Fran's personal life mirrored her professional reinvention. Though divorced from Peter Mark Jacobson in 1999, the pair maintained a creative partnership and friendship, mentoring young actors and exploring new projects. Their story became a testament to growth beyond heartbreak, showing that relationships could evolve without resentment. Fran also embraced therapy and self-care, recognizing that emotional resilience required consistent effort. She openly discussed menopause, cancer recovery, and trauma, connecting with audiences on a level rarely seen from major celebrities. Her honesty became a bridge between her fans and herself, building trust, admiration, and a devoted following. Even as her career flourished, Fran faced setbacks. Broadway adaptations of The Nanny stalled repeatedly, and new TV projects sometimes failed to capture audiences. Instead of retreating, she pivoted, launching podcasts, directing shorts, and writing books. Her podcast, targeting millennial listeners, reached 50,000 plus downloads per episode, tackling trauma, reinvention, and health with frankness. By sharing her vulnerabilities, Fran showed that failure is not the end but a stepping stone, inspiring others to persevere. By 2021 to 2023, Fran had become one of the most influential figures in Hollywood, yet her name remained under the mainstream radar. She controlled pay negotiations, influenced project approvals, and enforced protections for creatives across the industry. Studios lost billions during the strikes she led, but she remained steadfast, fighting not for personal gain, but for justice, safety, and equity. Her influence was born from pain, rejection, and resilience. The struggles of her youth, the trauma she endured, and the misdiagnoses she survived all fueled a drive to protect others and reshape an industry. Fran Drescher had evolved from a comic actress to a force that changed Hollywood and public health forever. Fran's legacy is multi-layered. She created an iconic character in The Nanny, led major labor reforms, and redefined celebrity activism. Her story proves that authenticity, perseverance, and courage can rebuild worlds, on screen and off. She continues to mentor, produce, and advocate, ensuring that her influence stretches beyond her own lifetime. Fran Drescher isn't just remembered as Fran Fine, she is a symbol of resilience, empowerment, and transformative leadership. Fran Drescher didn't keep her knowledge to herself. After decades of navigating Hollywood's highs and lows, she mentored young actors, writers, and directors, especially women and minority creatives. She taught them to embrace their voices, assert creative control, and negotiate fair pay, passing down lessons she learned the hard way. Her mentorship wasn't limited to advice, she actively collaborated on projects, offering guidance on scripts, character development, and production techniques. For many newcomers, Fran became a guardian figure, someone who understood the struggle and used her influence to protect others from the pitfalls she had faced. By the mid-2020s, Fran's influence reached beyond Hollywood and the United States. She traveled extensively as a U.S. State Department envoy, visiting countries across Europe, Africa, and Asia. Her mission: early cancer detection, women's health education, and policy reform. Fran's approach was deeply personal. She shared her story with international leaders, hospital administrators, and communities, turning a celebrity platform into a global tool for change. Her advocacy helped fund mobile clinics in rural areas, increased health literacy, and inspired local governments to prioritize preventative care for women. Fran Drescher never let The Nanny be a closed chapter. She and Peter Mark Jacobson began exploring reboots and spin-offs, mentoring a new generation of actors and writers while maintaining the heart of the original show. The reboot wasn't just about nostalgia, it was a modern reimagining, reflecting today's social dynamics, humor, and cultural awareness. Her involvement ensured the project retained authenticity, sharp comedic timing, and respect for diverse audiences, proving that Fran's influence extended far beyond her own performance. Fran's life was defined by resilience and authenticity. Trauma, illness, and repeated rejection could have broken her, but she chose to convert pain into power. She often spoke about the importance of embracing failure as a teacher, saying that each setback was a step towards self-discovery and empowerment. Her personal philosophy influenced her activism, her work on set, and her mentorship. She believed that true leadership required vulnerability, honesty, and courage, and she lived those values in every professional and personal choice. Fran's leadership in Hollywood coincided with technological changes, particularly AI in entertainment. She became a vocal advocate for protecting actors' performances from unauthorized replication, ensuring fair compensation and control over their likeness. Simultaneously, her health advocacy continued. She expanded the Cancer Schmancer movement, using her platform to educate communities about misdiagnosis, trauma-informed care, and preventative screenings. Fran proved that a celebrity could shape culture, policy, and technology responsibly, blending fame with meaningful impact. Though often understated in mainstream media, Fran's influence was recognized through industry awards, humanitarian honors, and government commendations. She received accolades for labor leadership, advocacy in healthcare, and cultural contributions, cementing her reputation as a trailblazer in multiple arenas. Her story became a blueprint for combining artistic talent, business acumen, and social activism, inspiring countless performers to fight for creative control and social justice simultaneously. Fran never stopped evolving. Whether directing short films, creating podcasts, or leading union negotiations, she continuously reinvented her public persona, showing audiences and industry peers that life after fame is an opportunity, not a retirement. Her podcasts, books, and interviews emphasized honesty, mental health, and empowerment, connecting her to a younger, socially conscious audience. Fran Dresser's voice had become larger than any character she ever played, blending personal narrative with collective advocacy. Fran Fine may have made audiences laugh, but Fran Dresser became a cultural icon and symbol of empowerment. Her Queens upbringing, her accent, and her bold comedic timing remained intact, serving as a reminder that authenticity can triumph in a world that often demands conformity. Her impact spans television, film, voice acting, union leadership, global advocacy, and mentorship. She became a living example that one person's voice, when amplified by courage and persistence, can change industries, policies, and lives. Fran Dresser recognized that knowledge is as powerful as fame. She began lecturing at universities and film schools, sharing her journey from Queens to Hollywood with students aspiring to work in the entertainment industry. Her talks emphasized resilience, authenticity, and the importance of creative ownership. She often highlighted her early struggles, rejections, typecasting, and trauma as essential lessons. Her message, "Talent alone isn't enough, perseverance, strategy, and courage shape real success." Students praised her ability to connect deeply, offering practical advice while inspiring confidence and ambition. While her Cancer Schmancer movement became a hallmark of her advocacy, Fran's philanthropic reach extended further. She supported women in STEM programs, arts education, and organizations addressing domestic violence and trauma recovery. Her approach was hands-on. She often visited communities personally, engaging with participants, listening to their stories, and empowering them with resources and guidance. Fran believed that philanthropy wasn't about publicity, it was about impact, consistency, and building systems that outlast you. Even decades after The Nanny, Fran remained at the forefront of Hollywood evolution. She adapted to the streaming era, digital content, and the rise of social media, using platforms to highlight creative voices, labor issues, and health advocacy. Her reputation as a fair, yet firm, leader grew. Studios knew her as someone whose approval could make or break a project, but also as a figure committed to ethical practices, inclusion, and protecting talent rights. Fran's influence had quietly reshaped the way Hollywood did business. Fran often reflected publicly on how past trauma shaped her resilience and empathy. From surviving sexual assault to facing a near-fatal cancer diagnosis, she spoke openly about the intersections between personal pain and professional strength. Therapy, writing, and advocacy became tools for healing, and she encouraged others to embrace similar paths. Her transparency created a community of survivors, creatives, and advocates, fostering solidarity and courage across industries. Beyond the United States, Fran's advocacy had a tangible international impact. She worked with global health organizations, NGOs, and government agencies, advising on early cancer detection, women's health policy, and trauma-informed care. Her talks emphasized prevention, education, and empowerment, inspiring countries to implement mobile screening programs, public awareness campaigns, and policy reforms. Fran became a model for how a celebrity can translate influence into systemic change, demonstrating that advocacy knows no borders. Fran never abandoned her comedic roots. She experimented with digital sketches, web series, and social media content, blending her classic style with contemporary humor. These projects allowed her to reach younger generations, ensuring her voice remained relevant, entertaining, and influential. Her comedy evolved, not just to entertain, but to deliver messages about empowerment, resilience, and authenticity. In doing so, Fran proved that humor could be both timeless and purposeful, bridging generations and cultural divides. As SAG-AFTRA president, Fran focused on mentoring the next generation of union leaders. She trained emerging representatives in negotiation tactics, ethical advocacy, and strategic leadership. Her approach combined experience-driven insight with a vision for fairness and inclusion, ensuring the union would remain strong long after her tenure. Under her guidance, young leaders learned not only how to fight for better pay, but also how to foster safe, equitable, and innovative workplaces. Fran's mentorship became a lasting legacy, shaping Hollywood's labor landscape for decades. Fran continued to write books, essays, and memoirs that captured the full spectrum of her life. From humor and career triumphs to trauma and recovery, her writing was raw, honest, and educational. Her works encouraged readers to challenge societal expectations, advocate for themselves, and turn adversity into opportunity. Writing also served as personal therapy, helping her process past pain while guiding others toward empowerment. Fran's ability to combine celebrity and advocacy became her defining feature. She spoke at conferences, panels, and public forums, emphasizing the importance of equity, health access, and creative rights. Her speeches were candid, engaging, and deeply persuasive, reaching audiences who might never watch her sitcoms but could understand the power of her story and the lessons she offered. Fran's public voice became a tool for systemic change, influencing industries, policy, and culture simultaneously. Fran Dresser never shied away from new technology, understanding that innovation could amplify her influence. She became a pioneer in using digital media, streaming platforms, and social engagement to connect with audiences worldwide. From live-streamed Q&A sessions to podcasts and social media campaigns, Fran used technology to educate, entertain, and advocate simultaneously. She also addressed the growing impact of AI on creative work, pushing for protections that ensured actors' voices, likenesses, and performances could not be exploited without consent. Through this embrace of innovation, Fran bridged the gap between traditional Hollywood and modern media, proving that a career built on authenticity could thrive even in a rapidly changing digital world. Her approach inspired both seasoned artists and young creatives to adapt fearlessly while holding on to their principles.